Senate wraps up its second impeachment trial of Donald Trump, the 117th Democratic-led Congress plans to start rewriting a bunch of laws. And chief among them is antitrust legislation to address what's perceived as monopoly power held by big tech giants like Google and Facebook. Senator Amy Klobuchar, who you see right there, is proposing broad changes that would make it harder for companies to buy rivals, for instance. So to discuss what the proposed overhaul of these laws mean, I want to bring in Joel Hyatt. He is co-founder and CEO of Globality, a Silicon Valley-based company that connects global corporates to suppliers. Joel, I want to start with the big picture. Take a step back here. Why is antitrust law such an important force in keeping our economy vibrant?
Well, because it's the principal means of assuring competition in an economy, a democratic capitalist economy premised on and reliant on having effective competition. And the antitrust overhaul that Senator Klobuchar is advancing is long overdue. Our antitrust framework, legal framework, goes back many, many decades, long before there was a Google or a Facebook or an Amazon. I mean, it dealt with different issues pre-internet. I mean, it dealt principally with pricing abuse by the monopolists of that day. The story always told of John D. Rockefeller and his cohorts, where they would get monopoly power by underpricing everybody, driving the competitors out of business, and then using their monopoly power to raise prices. So the existing antitrust regime was about making sure you couldn't use monopoly power to keep raising prices. But, as Google likes to say, well, gee, our service is free to consumers. Yeah. Facebook says our service is free to consumers. And so they say how could we be violating that law? And the answer is because the law is way outdated for the monopolistic abuses that occur in today's internet-based economy. And we need an overhaul of the laws.
Okay, so Senator Klobuchar has been quoted as saying our laws and enforcers need to be as sophisticated as today's corporate titans. Just how big is this sophistication gap? Is it insurmountable?
Well, look, I would not say it's insurmountable, but I'd say that we're far behind. I mean, I think one of the important things in Senator Klobuchar's bill is to increase the resources available to have effective government oversight of antitrust. I mean, we are seeing tremendous market power being obtained by very, very few powerful companies, again, with a regulatory scheme that was never intended to address this kind of market power.
We know Senator Klobuchar's past antitrust efforts failed to get very far because the Republicans control the Senate. But she says that she does expect GOP support because the two parties share concerns when it comes to the power of big tech. So as a result, do you expect any bipartisan legislation on this that we get will be narrowly written to apply strictly to tech companies and not to other industries?
I think that's likely. I think there are concerns both among Republicans and Democrats about abusive practices from big tech that are tangentially related or even independent from antitrust, privacy concerns, the power to eliminate competition by abusive practices or acquiring anything in sight that might be competitive. These are concerns pretty narrowly focused on big tech. I think that the principal purpose of bipartisan approach to an antitrust overhaul will be with big tech in mind.
Got it. Now, something else Klobuchar has been pushing for, which does have Republican support as well, is increased funding for the DOJ's antitrust division as well as the FTC. What would that mean for companies and how they proceed with any kinds of acquisitions that they do want to make? What kinds of extra steps do you think they will take as a result, keeping all of this in mind, that you have a more well-funded FTC?
Very, very important reform to give far more resources so that, in fact, government regulators can be far more sophisticated. And it's an enormous amount of work necessary to mount these kinds of challenges against such well-resourced tech giants as Facebook and Google. It's a really difficult endeavor. We have to give government regulators the resources, the brain power, and the manpower necessary to have that be a fair evaluation, and then a fair fight if it becomes one.
All right. Thank you so much, Joel Hyatt. Really appreciate it. CEO of Globality, which aims to connect global companies to suppliers at the right price for their sourcing needs. So clearly he has his eye, Renita, on making sure that the playing field is level.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.